So I used to be in a fraternity in college, so giving up drinking was not necessarily the easiest thing. It's not like I never drank before. I partied a lot. Drinking was a big part of my life, a big part of socializing, etc. But I decided to give it up for a year. I'm actually almost done. I'm like a few days away. I think I'm a week away from making it to 1 year. That's all I'm doing, just a 1 year challenge. Then I'm gonna go back to drinking. Don't know how much, don't know what my relationship will be, but maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you can relate to wanting to give up alcohol. Maybe you've tried it, maybe you've wanted to do it for longer, maybe you want to do a challenge, maybe you like to see what life would be like without alcohol. Well, I did it for a year and I still had fun. I still had a lot of fun and I learned a lot about myself throughout the process. I did a lot of really cool things. I did a lot of self-development, did a lot of reflecting. I did a lot of partying. I still did a lot of stuff. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I think oftentimes when you're in college, and one thing that happened to me was I started to really associate having fun with drinking alcohol. All the fun things that I would do, I was drinking. And that there was a link between that. There was also a heavy link between girls, dating, fucking girls, and drinking. Like that was a big, like those things were very much linked because of what happened in college and because of partying, being in a frat, being in a big party school. And I don't think that's necessarily entirely healthy. I think there can be some unhealthy pieces of that. But a lot of fun things that I did, which would be, like I still traveled. I traveled around. I was actually in Spain, living like nomadically, bouncing around from Airbnbs and hostels, living in Spain alone when I gave up alcohol. But I still went to clubs. Like I had 2 friends come and visit me in Spain, like 2 weeks after I gave up alcohol. I was like, no, like I'm not doing any alcohol. I'm not gonna be drinking. And we still like went out. We went out to clubs, we danced, we talked to some girls, we had fun. We went on this crazy, awesome hike, which was super cool in nature in the city called Ronda, which is crazy. Like I'm not gonna get into it, but anyways, I did that. Let's see, what else did I do? I mean, there's so many things. Paddleboarding, tennis, all the things. Like I lived in Miami for a little bit. I even went out there. I went to Club Space, which is like that crazy club that isn't open until like 2 or 3 a.m. and then it stays all the way, it like never closes. It stays open all day or something crazy like that. Went there, didn't really have fun there sober, to be honest. I learned over this year, there are places that you can still have a lot of fun sober, and there are other places where it's like, you may as well be fucked up, because it's just not that fun sober. But you get better at it. That's another thing that I learned. Like you get better at it. You go out sober enough, you find yourself in those environments, in those situations where you would normally drink, and you don't drink. Like it's first uncomfortable. It's first you're a little bit out of your element. Maybe you're not in the zone, whatever. The more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it. Like going to little networking events, little mixers, things like that, where you're like walking up to groups of people who you've never met before, just interjecting into a random conversation and trying to get to know them and telling them about yourself. That's not super easy to do. That feels weird. But like the more I did it, the easier it became. And that was awesome. And there's like so many things to do without drinking that are really fun. I think another dangerous thing that I'm just thinking of as I kind of riff on this one take right here is, I think when you get to a certain age, if you're somebody that drinks, like say you started drinking in high school like I did, you get to a certain age where I think drinking and partying basically just like maxes out your fun scale. Like think about as a 16-year-old, you're in high school. There's a lot of things that you might do for fun. Maybe you're into like skateboarding, maybe you're a girl and you like to cheerlead, you're a cheerleader, or you like dancing, or like maybe you like going on hikes, or maybe you have these like hobbies like video games or whatever. And then like once you drink, it's kind of just like that becomes the most fun thing that you can do. You know what I mean? Like it just, the way that it affects your brain and the way that it makes you feel like confident, goofy, you love music, like you feel wild, maybe you're like hooking up with people and having these crazy experiences and making memories and doing things that you would have never had the confidence to do when you're sober. Like it just becomes way more fun. Like here's the thing that you used to love to do before drinking, and then here is drinking. It's just like the most fun thing that you can find. And I think it just kind of creates this new top. this relative top, this relative new high. And it kind of just becomes like, that's what I do for fun because that makes me feel fucking amazing compared to being sober or, you know, going on a hike or something like that. Like going on a hike still feels good in a different way. It's just like, it's not really as comparable. And so I think when you do give up alcohol, you do need to like dive back into those other things that maybe you forgot about. Maybe because like alcohol and socializing and partying and whatever was like really fun for you and it just trumped everything else that you were doing. You stopped doing that weird little hobby. You stopped going to dance class. You don't play video games as much. You know, whatever it is, you don't play that sport anymore. You do kind of like need to dive back into those things. Like I found things like, you know, being in nature really fun. Like dinners were still super fun. Instead of like sitting around and drinking or like taking shots or ordering margaritas, just like having a dinner with like close friends that you actually really like was really fun. Engaging conversation, like I got so much like dopamine and pleasure and fun from doing that. And I think the big difference there, the key difference is that you need to find people that you truly like. If you really like hanging out with them sober, awesome. You really actually like those people. If they're only people that you hit up when you're drinking, if they're only like party friends, and you don't really have that much to talk about, they're not that interesting, you don't really have that much in common when you're sober, probably not the type of people that you want to hang out with in general. They can still be fun to party with, don't get me wrong. It can still be fun to hang out with those people and do the party thing where you're kind of like brain dumb, half retarded, being silly, but probably not the people that you want to hang out with when you're sober. So that's super enjoyable. As I said, being out in nature, playing sports, playing tennis. I love playing tennis. Going out and playing soccer. I'm a big ping pong nerd. What else? Traveling in general is amazing. I guess for me, I'm just a very social person. I get a lot of, maybe it's dopamine or enjoyment, fulfillment, you know, whatever, from being in social interactions where I can make people laugh, where I can make people enjoy their night more, I can interact, I can tell stories, I can hear people's perspective. Even like I found, like this might seem kind of weird, but like I've even found like drama and like kind of gossiping and shit, like honestly kind of fucking fun recently, which I know is kind of weird, but I just like realized, and I'm just gonna be super honest and authentic about that in a weird way. But yeah, so I just kind of did a lot of the same shit that I would do when I was drinking, but I just found out how to do it sober, and I did it enough. And don't get me wrong, like there's definitely plenty of times where I was either like, this is not as fun if I'm not drinking, or I'm like, you know, I just want to go home early, or I'm like, this is fun, I still had fun tonight, I just probably didn't have as much fun as I could. But one other thing, and this is the last point that I'm going to touch on, is that what I realized going out, especially like if you're going out to normally drinking events, bars, clubs, dinners, concerts, whatever, the alcohol is not the determining factor. I used to kind of have this like weird subconscious, not weird, but like I had this subconscious thought that I wasn't really aware of until after the fact, that I kind of thought that alcohol was a big determining factor and like if I would have fun or if I would enjoy my night or not. But it's all of the other shit that really makes your night. Who you're with, the music you're listening to, the environment, the vibe, you know, whatever, what you're actually doing. Like those things are so much more important than how drunk you are or if you're drinking or not. Amazing example of this is I went out in Dallas. My buddy drove me to Fort Worth, which is near Dallas, and we went out to this place called the Stockyards, this district with like all these country bars. Not a big country guy, but there was like barely any country music. It was all like rap and hip hop. And for whatever reason, I was sober. All I drank was like a Monster. I just drank caffeine before going out, but sober. For whatever reason, I was so about the going out scene there. Like it was just like the type of the bars, the type of people that were there, everybody was dancing, everybody was having fun, the music, the lights, like wasn't too crazy, wasn't this big club with like VIP and wasn't a dive bar. It was like this perfect happy medium that was just like exactly what I like when I go out. And I had so much fun. It was hands down the most fun going out night that I've had in so long, and I was totally sober. I was just drinking caffeine. So Goes to show. If you have questions about my sober journey, stay tuned, subscribe. I'm gonna post another video here in like the next week or so talking about all my downloads from doing 365 days with no alcohol. Cheers.